Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for being here for this session. This is going to be actually very different from anything that you've seen before, because I'm going to be talking about how you can deliver consistent experiences to your end users outside of marketing. So I know that this is a marketing conference, and I'm actually here representing Adobe's technical communications team. We're a team based out of India, and we create products for enterprises, small, medium, and large, for authoring, managing, and publishing their technical documentation. Technical documentation you can think of as your user guides, user manuals, maybe API references, policies and procedures documents. Essentially, product information which is more technical in nature. We have our flagship products like Adobe FrameMaker and RoboHelp. And if you're wondering, what is Adobe's technical content team doing here, the reason we are here is that we've actually expanded Adobe Experience Manager to be a content management system for technical documentation through our product, the XML documentation for Adobe Experience Manager. It's an end-to-end content management system for technical content. And the reason why we had to think about it is because of the way digital evolution is changing the way business buyers today are making their purchase decisions. There was a research which was done by CEB's Marketing Leadership Council, which found that business buyers today do not contact suppliers until 57% of the purchase process is complete, which means that for nearly 2/3 of the buying process, they're out there in the ether doing product research, forming opinions about the products, narrowing down their options. And for that, during that process, there is almost no influence from you as a business. Now, as a consumer, that's pretty obvious. Aren't all of us doing that? We go to the internet, do research. In fact, we're even purchasing online. But for businesses, that's a very different way of doing business now. While earlier there would be open RFPs where you'd be able to give responses, give proposals to them, more and more what we are seeing now are a closed RFP process, where only a select set of vendors are being even invited to give a proposal. Now, in order to do that, let's see what a typical business buyer is doing as part of their research process. So maybe they start from your product website, the most intuitive place to start. They take a look at what are the problems your product is solving. Maybe that's coinciding with the problem they're trying to solve. They move on, look at some white papers where they're trying to look at some research about how your product is solving those problems. And they like what they see. So they want to delve a little deeper. And they now look at your product manuals, trying to understand your features in more depth, maybe followed by product videos. Videos give them a very good sense of how your product works, how it looks and feels in the hands of the users, and followed by maybe the user guides. How the product will perform in the hands of the end users is a very critical part of any business purchase. And that's something that they get only by reading the user manuals. Case studies, maybe they want to see how other businesses that are part of their industry vertical or maybe similar in their size, how they're able to use the product. Data sheets, where they're trying to see the specs of the product, if it will meet the scale and performance metrics that they're looking for. And followed by the admin guides. How will that product really integrate into their environment with the different products that they have in their ecosystem? What I'm trying to impress on you through this slide is that when the business buyer is doing their research, they're not limited to only looking at the marketing content that you're putting out for your product. They're actually using the technical documentation and the technical content of the product as much. and it's become as critical a piece of your pre-sales process. Companies are recognizing that. You will find that pretty much on all marketing websites of a product, you will find the link for their support or documentation portals. Now, while that has been recognized and it's being incorporated in the websites, you will find that as you move from a product's marketing website to its support website, the experience is very inconsistent. And there are different ways you can see that. It starts with the look and feel. You will find that the branding, the colors, the layouts are very different. Not only that, you will find in most cases the technical documentation is available as PDFs, something that you can download, you can read, not searchable, not interactive, very difficult to consume. Not only look and feel, you will find that there is a very big difference in the terminology that is used between the marketing and the support website. Beyond that, search. There is no integrated search available across the marketing and the technical or the support websites. But I think the biggest of all, there's a huge difference in the messaging and positioning between these two types of content. It would appear that the product is being sold for a reason, and it actually does something else completely. There is no correlation between the two. Why is that? Why is it so difficult today to provide that kind of a consistent experience as you're traversing between these different information portals for the same product? One of the prime reasons for that is the silos that exist. Not only are different teams creating content for the marketing and the technical pieces of the product, there are also different systems which are being used today for managing that content. While for the marketing content, you might see web content management systems that are being used, like Adobe Experience Manager, for managing the content, managing those experiences. For technical content, it is managed in a completely different system. In fact, many a times, it's more closely aligned with the engineering way of managing resources. Maybe that content is managed within the GitHub or the Perforce, where the engineering content is being managed. And then there are different design, different styling, different taxonomy that are being used to create that content. And then, of course, a completely different publishing pipeline to create completely different websites. While a lot of companies make an effort in making sure that they're able to provide a consistent experience, you can imagine it's a nightmare for the IT teams that are working to ensure that the design, the taxonomies, and the style guides are matching between the two websites. And even if they are able to achieve it, keeping them in sync is very, very difficult. What we need to do is we need to better align marketing and technical content. And we are hearing it from our customers as well. So there's an annual survey that we do out of Adobe TechCom team, where we have more than 2,000 respondents across 30 countries and 30 industry verticals. And one of the questions we asked them this year was if they feel that there is a need to better align marketing and technical content. And we got a resounding yes from the community. And this community is not built only of technical writers and technical documentation managers. About 60% of the respondents are coming from marketing, they're coming from IT, they're coming from executive level people. And some of the prime reasons why they felt that they need to come together is the content reuse and the sharing of assets between marketing and technical documentation. We have customers who've told us that more than 17 to 25% of their content is shared across these two domains. And how do they share it today? By copying and pasting. And you can imagine how difficult it is to maintain and the kind of costs that such a thing would incur. There is a need that we have a common repository where the marketing and the technical documentation content can be managed so that there is more synergy and more reuse across these two domains. We've discussed search and taxonomy, but another one that we heard was integrated analytics. Today, there is no way to get an integrated view of how your product information is consumed, whether it be marketing, technical, or otherwise, right? You are not able to determine how your product pages are being viewed. You can see how the product pages are being viewed from the marketing standpoint. You can see maybe, in fact, most of the times there aren't even analytics on the technical document pages. I mean, it might seem a no-brainer, but the reality is that it's not so no-brainer for technical documentation. And today, there is no way to get an integrated analytics across those two domains. So where do we want to be? Where we want to be is where there is content without boundaries. We want to be in a place where content is completely separated from design. Now, over the years, there have been huge shifts in the way content is consumed, right? In the 90s, the World Wide Web came along. All the content producers had to scramble to provide their content in a digital fashion, followed by the emergence of the social networks, where again, the content consumers had to figure out how they could make their content available in small bite-sized pieces or small chunks. And then came the mobile phones and new form factors for us to deal with. And now we are again at the cusp of a completely new way of consuming content with AR and VR technologies. And this is certainly not the end, right? Newer ways of consuming the content are going to come along. What we need to start looking at is to have a common repository of content, which is pure content, separated from design. And that content can be picked up according to the use case that you're trying to solve, and according to the design and the rendering that is required by the users. Essentially, you would be able to achieve what's called create once, deploy everywhere. Now, this is more so of a reality when it comes to technical documentation, where you're not only looking at websites, but you're looking at printed documentation, you're looking at ebooks, you're looking at mobile apps for your service or support personnel, you're looking at customer support websites, you're looking at training content, learning content, and so on. You want to be able to not only handle different form factors, you have to be able to handle different use cases. From the same content, you should be able to produce troubleshooting guides, facts, user manuals, and so on. And be able to handle different personas. Is it a novice user, an expert user, your internal support staff, or whatever else, other personas that you might be supporting? The other big requirement here is to have what I call intelligent content. Content which has semantics inserted in it so that the content itself holds knowledge about what that content is all about. Here I'm showing you some content, some sample content here. But what I want to be able to do is to actually say that that paragraph there right below the hero image is actually my product overview, and below that are my product features. I want to embed that information inside my content, maybe even beyond that. Maybe even say that Adobe Experience Manager here is my product name. Maybe things like this is the product model, the product version, and so on. Why is that so important? Why do we need to have semantics inserted in the content? For many reasons, but I'll give you a few examples. One of the key ways in which all of us today go find content is by searching for content. There was a study done by Microsoft which found that human attention span is even less than of a goldfish, right? And we are not able to scour through pages and pages of documentation to find what we are looking for. When we have a question, we want an answer immediately. And this is an example where I searched for how to charge the battery pack for Xbox One, and the answer just was spitted out by Google right there. This kind of capability is possible only if your content has semantics or intelligence inserted within the content. The machines have to be able, the bots, the crawlers in this case, have to be capable of parsing the content and determining the relevance of that content for a specific user search query. Another example I'll give you is of conversational content consumption, where when a user is trying to find out the information about your product, for marketing, yes, it is there, but more and more companies are also turning to chatbots for support. And it's really a mix, right? When I am going to a chatbot and I'm trying to find out maybe information about how do I purchase a product, or maybe how does a specific feature work. In order to be able to get that kind of an information, again, I need to be able to go parse those loads and loads of technical documentation of the product and be able to pull out the relevant information and show that up on the screen to the user. And another example is Internet of Things. This is becoming more and more of a reality where everything in the room to everything we are wearing is becoming connected to the internet. I have a very simple example here. I have a dishwasher here, which developed a snag, and all that the machine could throw at me was the error message on that small screen that it has on it. After that, I have a choice. I can go pull out the paper manual that I got with the product, look up that error message, see what I need to do to fix it. Maybe go online, find the user manual, look up that error message, solve my problem. But the place where we are all moving to is that on my mobile, I will immediately get the reasons, possible reasons why that error could have happened, and how do I need to go about solving that error. This is something which is already going on. There is a whole consortium called Information 4.0, which has been formed, which is looking at how information will be processed in this new age and what it needs to be in order to solve these kind of use cases. And one of the biggest ones there is being able to have intelligent content, content which has semantics inserted in it. So in conclusion, what I'm trying to say here is that while we've been able to provide superlative experiences to our end users for marketing content, we really need to look at how those same experiences can be delivered for technical documentation. And what I actually have next is a case study that was done for one of our customers, Palo Alto Networks, and how they used our solution to deliver this kind of a consistent experience.
Palo Alto Networks' main mission is to protect our customers' digital way of life.
We build products that protect every user in every location all the time.
Our technologies and our platform approach of integrated security make our users feel secure.
When I was hired, there was really nothing. There was no documentation site. We built both the documentation portal and the corporate website at the same time.
Laralyn and I had a vision that we wanted our documentation to be different, and we didn't want to be in a silo.
We really wanted to get past that mindset where people don't want to read documentation. We really wanted to be on a web platform, and that's why Adobe Experience Manager ended up being our solution. To get our unstructured content in Adobe Experience Manager, we ended up having to write a lot of very specialized code, and it just wasn't scaling. That's when we decided to bite the bullet and convert over to DITA.
There were 3 major prongs to the project. One was actually doing the conversion, and then the second one was the validation of the conversion, and the third was building the PDF and HTML transformation from XML to those things.
The XML documentation for Adobe Experience Manager has really helped us to build a solution where we're central to the customer journey at Palo Alto Networks. The authors are writing in an environment they're familiar with by using FrameMaker and then uploading to AEM, where our content fits right in with the rest of the content that marketing develops.
One of the biggest things that's helped us in iterating is our move to structured FrameMaker and the data framework.
We've been using the XML documentation for the Adobe Experience Manager for over a year now. We just went live with our 8.1 documentation.
We had about 28 deliverables for the release, about 7,000 pages of content. The number of topics that got translated into AEM pages were more than 6,000.
It was the smoothest release we've ever done. Prior to that, it would have taken us probably 3 or 4 times longer to go through the process.
We had 1 million visits to the technical documentation site and actually 200,000 unique visitors in the month of March. The XML documentation for Adobe Experience Manager has really helped us with the efficiency of publishing, our ability to reuse content, and by leveraging the tagging functionality, the ability to build dynamic sets of content, we see as being really important for us in the future. And that's something that using XML and DITA and having a unified publishing platform like AEM is going to help us.
Right now, we only deliver in PDFs, but having HTML ready for each of our documentation, that's findable through SEO, it'd be huge for us. And without the XML documentation solution, they wouldn't be able to do that.
I think the best benefit we've had is the reduced man hours in troubleshooting. In 2013, we created content for about 13,500 customers versus today, I think we are serving about 48,000 end customers. We've been able to create more content and deliver it in a more efficient way for a larger user base. And therefore, I think we're improving customer experience. To be successful in anything, you need the right partnerships. Adobe was a good partner for us to forge ahead on this path because Adobe understands technical documentation. The ability to be integrated with the corporate website, to inherit that look and feel, and to make documentation part of the hardware, software, marketing, all of that, to bring it together was, I think, a dream come true.
And I think would like to invite all of you to the Experience League crawl later today. Or if you have more questions on the solution itself, there will be another more technical presentation tomorrow where I'll even be showing a demo of the product if you're interested in stopping by for that. Or, of course, we are also present in the community lounge, so please do feel free to stop by if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we want to do any questions right now? Nick.
Engineer, having an AutoCAD engineer create content for maybe images, having a legal review, having a product review, can that all be defined within AEM, or how does that work today with a solution?
That is correct. So we integrate natively with all AEM workflow engine. We, in fact, have created our own web-based review and collaboration platform as part of the solution, which allows multi-reviewer, real-time reviews, and even the ability to import those review comments directly into the documentation. So it's a very powerful review system. We integrate well into AEM's translation mechanism as well, because as you know, translation is a huge part of technical documentation, a huge cost involved in creating technical documentation. So we fit right into each of those things, and we support DAM assets in all formats, so all creative formats. Of course, we support natively, the format we support is DITA, which is an XML-based standard.
Thank you.